Good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy game day. Group of Five Live coming at you from our homes today. Taking a week off of travel. We'll see when we get back on the road. Trying to get back on the road for some of these decision-making games coming up in the next couple of weeks because we have got some pile-ups at the top of some conference. We got some conferences that are about over already. Conference USA to be exact, but we're fired up to be here, man. Group of Five Live. We are the Group of Five guys. If you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs that the mainstream sports media refuses to do. We need your help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to groupof5guys.com and get you some Group of Five Guys swag, hats, t-shirts, golf polos, all the above. And then most importantly, guys, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. Leave a comment, leave a 5-star rating and review. Tell your family and friends all about us. You can do that also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcast. Tyler Tipton, Jeff Murphy, Matt Sprouse, fired up to be here today. Guys, sorry, that intro was like watching sausage being made. It was really horrifying. a really horrifying experience. Man, guys, we got some good stuff. I've been really liking these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games. I really have been enjoying them. I mean, you're able to watch every team play, which is great. And then, you're not having to really like flip back and forth like you are on a Saturday. You really have, one or two games that you can focus on, and then usually one of them starting a little bit later than the other, so you can catch whichever games in, whatever the better game is at the time you can catch. But we got to talk about these things. First of all, we got to talk about Conference USA. The Liberty Flames have already clinched a spot in the championship game, and I think it would take a miracle for them to not host the championship game. I mean, they've already got wins against the top 3 or 4 teams in the conference, so, and with 0 losses, everybody else is going to have 2 by the time this thing plays out, other than New Mexico State potentially. But it looks an awful lot like there's going to be a championship game in Lynchburg, Virginia, here in a couple weeks. And I'm just going to pencil it in for myself here. I don't see why the Group of Five guys wouldn't be there on a Friday to watch a little championship football. But, Jeff, let's talk about Liberty. I mean, that was the big game. This was the Conference USA game of the year. And, Western just never had a shot, man.
No, they didn't. And, I don't think Austin Reed and that offense played particularly bad. I just think that Liberty played that much better. And Caden Salter had a monster day. 3 touchdown passes, another one on the ground. And then again, they just proved that they can run the ball against anybody. 323 rushing yards by that slew of backs, Quentin Cooley and Caden Salter included. So when you can run the ball like they've been doing, it's very, very hard to stop them because it keeps the other offense on the sideline. You keep the clock churning, and then it just opens up your pass game. So, Liberty has looked like the favorite pretty much all year. They're going to host. I don't see them dropping the rest of, all the games the rest of the way. I just don't see it happening. So, would love to get up to Lynchburg. That is a damn trek.
It's a haul, man.
I was looking at, driving. It's like 8 hours.
Yeah, and it's 8 hours from South Georgia, too. So, I don't know. Zach or anybody.
How's it 8 hours from both places?
Buddy,
it's like the nexus of the universe.
It's like what I always say, like where I live, everybody's like, how long does it take to get downtown? 15 minutes. How long does it take to get to work? About 15 minutes. It's just 15 minutes everywhere, and really none of it's actually 15 minutes. But, yeah, Zach, if somebody's watching, man, where do you fly? Give us a, what's the proper route to take here? Do you fly in somewhere? Lynchburg, it does have an airport. I imagine it's not a big one. Do you fly? Do you drive? Do you stay? Seems like Lynchburg actually has some decent hotel options, unlike Oxford, by the way. But I'm going to put one of you guys on.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might need to let one of us book the hotel. You're like 0 for 3.
I am not 0 for 3. I am not 0 for 3. Well, you know what? Let's go through them, Jeff. New Orleans, not a bad hotel. Roof was collapsing due to a pipe burst, but hey, that's not on me. That was a brand name hotel.
Just pouring out of the ceiling in the lobby of this hotel.
That was a brand name hotel, and it was walkable to just about everywhere we wanted to go. So you can't blame me there.
It took 20 minutes to get to that restaurant that Tip wanted to go to.
But it was worth it.
That was not my fault. Also took 20 minutes for a waitress to come to acknowledge that we were there. Okay, week 2, where did we go? Coastal. Great house. Tip book that one.
That was great.
You're welcome.
Tip book that one. Although, full transparency, Tip jumped up the price on us about $1,000 because he waited till the last week to book.
But we were looking at condos
No,
at first.
You're right.
And then
Hey,
we got kids and kids coming,
that was
and
big
so I was like,
time.
maybe we should get a house, or
That
this
was a
one's got
great-
a pool, a little
Okay.
more expensive, but
that was a
win.
great choice.
That was a win.
Week 3, Troy. I mean, look, I'll take credit for that. I'm the one with the relationships. I mean,
Jeez.
I'll take credit for Troy. Okay, week 4, where'd we go? Middle. I stayed at 2 terrible places both nights. Y'all's 2 houses.
those are 2 wins right there. Okay, keep going.
Memphis, tough spot. But that, you guys got to admit, that was a fluke.
Gotta do your due diligence, Sprouse.
Okay, well, then where else? There's that. Then we went Memphis
Oxford.
and then Oxford. Is that it?
As far as hotels go,
Boy.
0 for 3.
Well,
1 for 4 if I give you Troy.
So New Mexico State looked all right. Okay. So they're the one now. On a serious note, New Mexico State is the one in Conference USA that they truly control their own destiny right now. They're the only team with 1 loss. Everybody else has at least 2. They got the win over La Tech, and they've got a huge one with Western Kentucky coming up. So, I mean, Jeff, let me kick it to you first on this. You're the quarterback guy. New Mexico State, you think they're a for real contender, or are they just the way their schedule's played out? They don't have the losses yet.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I think their schedule has been favorable, especially in conference playing, La Tech and some of these other, I don't want to, bottom half, I guess you could say, of the conference. But we're going to find out quick, right? Diego Pavies played very well the last couple weeks. He had 2 total touchdowns in this past game. And this game wasn't like it wasn't like an offensive, clinic or anything, but 0 turnovers. They had no interceptions, no fumbles. They played a very clean game for the most part. And then 4 sacks by that defense, which was huge against La Tech, who loves to throw the ball. So I don't want to say they're for real. I had them as my dark horse in this conference before the season started, but we're going to find out this coming week if they're for real or not.
Yeah. Did you notice there was it was like one of the last 2 or 3 plays of the game when their head coach was just getting on one of their players. And it was like, if part of me, I felt bad for the kid because the game was over and the kid, I don't even remember what he did. Something stupid, but he was just getting on him for the longest time. And ESPN would not, or I don't know if it was ESPN, that might've been a CBS Sports game, but they just would not get the camera off of him. So it looked like he was just laying into him for 5 minutes straight. But then it was pretty cool because then right at the end of the game, they were you gave him a big hug and kind of a little playful shove or whatever. And I was like, see, I mean, that's the relationship between coaches and players that you want to see.
Well, that's why I think I hate using the term casual fan, but that's what people don't understand. When you're in the trenches with a coach or even a player every single day, literally every single day of the year, minus a couple weeks in summer, and then you get a break, a little bit of a break in spring, you can do that as long as that relationship is built, because it's built on a great foundation of respect and working together, seeing each other every single day. It's like when you fight with your siblings or fight with your dad. That's going to happen when you're together with somebody every single day. But at the end of the day, that coach just wants the best for you. So you guys, you can be coached that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't, it wasn't anything where he didn't put his hands on, he didn't grab him by the face mask or kind of toss him around or anything. He was just and shout out to the player. I don't know who it was, but just the whole time just looking at him. And then I think the last thing he said was yes, coach, or yes, sir, or something like that. And then he walked away. I mean, then that was it. And then, like I said, at the end of the game, they were celebrating together. So that was a pretty cool thing. Jacksonville State, man, it's a shame that, the NCAA won't let these schools play for a championship. But
you're really silent, though, by the Gamecock fans on Twitter about it. Kind of weird.
Man, we can't.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interject that, but I just felt
no. Well, part of that could be part of that could be just a lack of engagement on Twitter. But what I will say in that game, man, there was FIU started coming back a little bit, and there was a huge call or no call or bad call, huge momentum swing. So FIU went to punt down 11, and Jacksonville State's guy muffed the punt, and he waved for the fair catch, and he muffed it, and then FIU would have had the ball back at like the Jack State 35, down 11, and had just scored, I think, 2 straight touchdowns. And they called like a catch interference, but nobody even, I don't know, nobody even was really by him until he bobbled, until he bobbled the catch. So it was the announcers were pretty upset about it. I saw Twitter was, pretty upset about it. But again, I'm not saying, and then Jacksonville State went and scored 2 or 3 plays later, put the game on ice. But I don't think that necessarily is why FIU lost, but it is another example of a momentum swing. No one play or one call decides the game, but a lot of times it completely switches the momentum, and that momentum is what ends up deciding the game. But it's a tough call. But FIU can't, they can't spot them the whole first half, and then Jacksonville State's obviously a very good team. But that was a FIU. Now it's got a tough. They got to win 2 more, and it's not easy for them to get to a bowl spot. I think they got. I know one of them is middle. I think they play an SEC school. I think Arkansas. And then I don't know, but I don't think they're going to be favored in any of their next 4 games. So I'm rooting for them to get to a bowl. I mean, I think those guys deserve it. What do you got?
Arkansas, and Western Kentucky.
So just 3 left.
Yeah, remember they were
they had a week 0. Oh boy. Oh well. Who knows? I mean, middle's 2-6, and Western seems to maybe be on an all-time collapse here, and Arkansas is not very good, for an SEC school. So we'll see what happens there. Then, man, Sam Houston they are cursed. Again, I mean, every week we talk about it. They were the best 0-5 team, and now they're the best. What are they? 0-8, 0-7. I mean, they outplayed UTEP in my opinion. It was back and forth for the most part, but then UTEP with a late field goal to win the game. So, Jeff, UTEP, you're still hanging on to hope for UTEP.
Well, I don't think they have a shot at the conference. They would need a whole lot of help, but they're starting to look, at least the last couple of weeks, anyways, showing glimpses of the team that I thought they were going to be before the year kicked off. I mean, Deion Hankins, week in and week out, seems to be a steady force. Had 15 carries. 117 yards and a touchdown. And then Kelly Akari had another big game, 6 catches, 126 yards and a touchdown, with Cade McConnell throwing that ball. I mean, he looked okay, but he also looks like a young guy, inexperienced, I should say. So, got the win. You found a way to win. Feel bad for Sam Houston though.
No, I do too. And they'll I don't know if they'll get a win, but credit to them and credit to Coach Keeler for, I mean, they're playing hard every single week, and that season, so they didn't really have a whole lot to play for anyways going into this season, but then, they're losing, and they're losing close, tough ones every single week, but, good on them for coming out and playing hard every single week and trying to get a win on the board. Probably this would have been the game of the week if it wasn't on a Thursday night, but in the Sun Belt, man, Statesboro was rocking again. Georgia State goes in there. And Georgia State, I mean, they've been red hot, and they just did not look the part. Turnovers all over the place, and Georgia Southern looked good. That home crowd. So Georgia Southern gets that win first time in they had lost 3 straight to Georgia State, Tip.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to what Murph has been saying about Georgia State is which Darren Granger is going to show up. And unfortunately for Georgia State, the Darren Granger with the turnovers is what showed up in this game. And just the way Georgia Southern came out red hot in this game, it's just hard to come back against a team like that. But, I mean, got to give credit to Marcus Carroll in this game. He rushed for over 200 yards for Georgia State, had 2 touchdowns. But this is just one of those games. Georgia Southern at home, great atmosphere, great crowd, and the offense was rolling this game.
So the Sun Belt East has just gotten itself a little more wide open. I mean, Georgia Southern is in the driver's seat right now with that win because they're the only ones with just one loss. So them and Old Dominion, but Old Dominion plays James Madison today, so we'll see what happens there. But
Sprouse, can I make a quick point about that game?
You absolutely can. Yeah, I was going to go back to it, but yeah, you can.
Well, just real quick, on a Thursday night, Paulson was absolutely jumping, right? I think the key in that game why Southern won was the home field advantage and turnovers. And the turnovers are tied to the home field advantage. So, like, I don't know how we fix some of these disconnects between the student body and the community and these group of 5 schools, middle being one of them. And like last night, I was at my kid's fall festival. We had some MTSU students who were volunteering. Awesome kids, helped out an elementary school. Couldn't be more thankful for them. But I'm like probing them, asking them questions. I was like, hey, have you gone to any football games this year? No. I'm like, why not? And like I never could get an answer out of them. And I don't, you see a place like Paulson on a Thursday night that's absolutely jumping, affects the game. I think it's a huge reason why they won. And then you got all these other schools that you can't figure out what it is, But they got something brewing down there, and shout out to Georgia Southern. They're right there in the thick of things in that East.
Well, and, if you're a Georgia Southern fan listening or watching, I want you guys to know that I have put the bug in every member of the group of 5 guys' ear about getting down there. So you guys need to slide in their DMs, start talking trash, get them on board with this, because I am not trying to take a solo trek down to I will, but I'm not trying to do it by myself and go down there, but I don't know what it is. I think in the off season we need to spend some time. I think we need to do like some kind of like a report. Yeah, well, like a report, and just figure out, try to pretend like we're real live journalists for a couple weeks and figure it out, man. Like, because like all the excuses that the people that don't go or the places that don't have support have, somebody else has that's doing it right. And then, so like whether it be, now there's some places that have all of the excuses, and that's when you're in a really difficult spot. But, you just got to figure out, like, you can't force the fans to go there. And if you force them to go there and they don't want to be there, then you have a terrible environment anyways, which sometimes is worse. You almost rather have nobody there than a bunch of people there that are not paying attention or won't stand up, won't cheer, won't whatever. But then you have these ones that do it right, and it's awesome to see. It looks great on TV. Like, again, it's just the whole cycle. You look at Statesboro and you think, man, damn, I'd love to catch a game there. Then you go, same thing with Boone. I know they're big rivals and they're completely different, like, demographics, I guess you would say, but like they both get after it for football games. They're both really fun to go to. The people are awesome, like super hospitable when you go down there. The games are great. It makes you want to spend more time there. It makes you want to, like, if you were a kid, it makes you want to go to school there. If you're an alumni, it makes you want to come back. It makes you want to give money so it gets even better. It makes you want to stay for the whole weekend and spend money in the restaurant, spend money on a hotel, it's like, it's just such an economic and I don't know, dude. It gets so frustrating to see the places that don't do it right. And I know we're going to have a bunch of Middle Tennessee people in our mentions like, well, you have the coach that's been there. Like, I'm not even talking about middle. Like, it's probably 50-50. It's probably less than 50-50 on the schools that do it right versus the ones that have a hard time. And we got to figure it out, because it's not just winning. Winning helps a lot, but there's places that are winning that don't have. I mean, look at Oxford, Ohio last week, for example. We had a great time, but I mean, they didn't sell out that stadium. Yep. They weren't. Their fans, their students weren't going to the game after the tailgate, and they had a 6-1 team. So, but anyway, we gotta move on from that. But yeah, Georgia. I mean, Georgia State, I still think is a good team. I mean, hell, Marcus Carroll still rushed for over 200 yards. So, that's something that Georgia Southern's going to have to be careful or figure out, I think, going forward, especially if, it's a long way to go, but especially if they end up, playing a Troy or South Alabama or somebody like, or Texas State. They're going to have to figure it out a little bit better defensively if they want to win this thing. And then last night, guys, FAU and Charlotte, there's a perfect example, right? Charlotte. Charlotte has been bad for a long time. Charlotte is in a major metropolitan city or area, whatever you want to call it. Charlotte has all kinds of cool stuff going on weeknights and on weekends. Their students show up every damn week. Why? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they showed up for Healy. They some of them probably wanted Healy gone. They get a new coach. They're still showing up. They're still bad. They're still showing up. I mean, Charlotte's a perfect example. And that like, the team's been bad for a while and whatever, but if you're a recruit, you can sell to that recruit like, hey, look, like, we're bad, but we need guys like you to come in here to rebuild this thing. But look at the support that you already have. Wait until we start winning and look at this place. Wait until you're going out, in uptown Charlotte and you're 10-0 or you're 8-2. You know what I'm saying? So, but when you go and and you show up and there's nobody there, it's like, well, it's because we're not good. It's probably not going to be a whole lot better even when you're good. But anyway, shout out to the Charlotte faithful. But they got some work to do on that team. And Jeff, if you have that Biff Poggi clip, that was one of the greatest in-game interviews I've ever seen.
When we hurt ourselves, we're like watching sausage being made. It's just a horrifying experience. And look, this is football, for God's sake. Just block and tackle people. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't do anything else. Don't talk to anybody. Don't push anybody. I don't care what anybody says. You just do your damn job. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, and I think what he's more so talking about is I can't remember the kid's name, but number 0 for Charlotte got like a personal foul before halftime, and then was on the sideline like yelling, and him and Poggi were going at it back and forth. And I don't understand. I mean, and that's what he's saying. Just act right. Like at the very minimum, just do your job and act right. Like you don't need all the other stuff.
Well, that's so. Number 0 is, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but it's Iyabi Okianoma. He's the former 5-star kid. He's a St. Francis kid. Yep. So he played for Poggi in high school, but then he's been this is now his 4th school. So we were talking about it before the show, right? Like you get these 5-star kids that come down, from a Michigan or an Alabama to Charlotte, and you're like, oh my God, we got this 5-star kid. It's like, look, man, at places like Michigan and Alabama, they got 30 guys like that. So if you're not acting right, they're not going to have it. So you just got to be careful. Like we said before the show, you're better off getting a 3-star kid who's like a great kid that's maybe 6'2" instead of 6'5", and then you can coach him up. But he's gonna work hard. He's not gonna get stupid penalties all game long. And I mean, yeah, he's spot on. I mean, that killed Charlotte. That's what killed Charlotte. We've talked about it all season. They've got the talent. They just do a bunch of dumb stuff. But I don't know. Have you, Jeff? You're an Italian. Have you seen sausage being made? Is it pretty rough or what?
It's just a slow process. Is
that all he's talking about? Like I was picturing, like,
I mean, it's not pretty either. Like you grind up your meat. You got to get the casings.
Yeah, that's
what the casings. You twist it. And then the little links there.
I like that from Poggi. I mean, he's had some antics that I haven't been like a huge fan of, but I like that. And sometimes guys like that, like you got to call them out. Like if whatever's going on in practice isn't getting through, you get a little public shame. See what happens with that.
Well, one thing I'll say is Poggi, I think that's him. And he has been that way since the moment he got there. So he's authentic and real. And you know what you're going to get out of him. So I like him. I'm rooting for him. And we got a lot of people that listen to our show and people we've met over at Charlotte. So I want them to be good, man. They deserve to be good. They got a good fan base.
Yeah, you just and he's got a good enough, you would think, relationship with that kid. I mean, he's probably known him now for like 8 years, so he probably knows the way he can get through to him. But man, like that, those penalties are just like there's nothing worse from watching, or like because you got 100 guys on your sideline that are relying on you, and you do stuff like that, and it's just like dude, what are you doing, man? That kind of stuff is wild. Like I've never understood the mindset of players that do stuff like that. Like it just, I don't know. It doesn't register with me. Like what could you even be thinking about when you do stuff like that? But I don't know, man. But anyway, FAU right in the thick of things in the American. And you've got so let's talk about the American, right? So I'm going to go ahead and plug in SMU. They're going to be in the championship game because they don't their schedule. I mean, we talked about it preseason. They don't really have anything left. They're going to win out and be in that American championship game, and then you're looking at UTSA, Tulane, who have an absolute showdown in the final week of the season. You got Memphis sitting there. You got FAU sitting there. That's really what you're down to, I think, in the American. And I don't know, like Memphis, I just for some reason I see Memphis like slipping up somewhere along the way. And then FAU, I just don't think is quite ready. And plus, they've got the head-to-head losses already. But UTSA and Tulane, man, that is going to be something. To me, that's the championship game. I mean, UTSA and Tulane in that last week. I think winner of that probably. But anyway, I picked SMU to win the whole thing. But SMU, they got Tulsa today, 3 touchdown favorites. I think they'll get that done. I don't know, 21's a lot of points. But I do think SMU will get that done. And then, Tip, I want to go to you on this. Memphis and North Texas. To me, North Texas they're a little scary based on what they did with Tulane last week. But I just think they're too inconsistent.
Yeah, too inconsistent. And the defense, I mean, they're giving up 457 yards a game. And you have this high-powered Memphis offense coming into this game. So I think that's ultimately where this game's going to be won. Memphis is they're just going to outscore them and make some stops on the defensive side. North Texas will score some points in this game. I could see this game be very high scoring, but yeah, I mean, Memphis, yeah, they're going on the road playing at North Texas, but it doesn't matter. I see Memphis's offense pretty much doing what they want to in this game, and they're favored by 10.5. I think they cover that.
Jeff, have you seen injury report for Memphis? I don't know. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but
no, you're good. I have it pulled up. Yeah, I didn't see anything like glaring. I mean, Blake Watson should be good to go.
So he should be back. That was where I was going with that. I mean, Memphis, he was
back last week.
Yeah, he played last week.
For all the inconsistent like first quarters that Memphis has had, I mean, they've only lost 2 games, one to Missouri and one to Tulane. So like, this is a really good Memphis team this year. It's a really good Memphis team.
And Sprouse, you mentioned you have a good feeling that SMU is going to be in there, and I think they have the best and easiest road to get to the championship game. But I believe it's next week. They got to go to Rice. Just keep an eye out for that game. I think Rice is going to get Tulane. I know we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, you can't. Rice ain't going to just give everybody a tough time now.
I think nobody's talking about them. They're 2-1 in the conference. They're right in the thick of it with everybody else.
They're playing good right now too.
Well, the crazy thing about Rice is
number 1 offense in the American.
Well, and they were good last year. You remember they were like 6-0 to start the year last year. So they are just quietly right there on the cusp. I mean, that's a good point. I just think SMU's loaded too. I mean, their schedule's not bad, but they got some talent on that roster. They cleaned up in that portal just like Texas State, just like Charlotte, except for these kids aren't headbutting quarterbacks 3 seconds after the whistle. So that's the difference between a team that's going to probably win the conference and a team that's going to win 2 games all season, right? You get these 5-star guys. Some of them do stupid stuff, and some of them just go out there and play. But That's kind of what we're dealing with in the American right now. There's only 2 games in the MAC because next week it starts MACtion. Yep. So then we'll have Conference USA will be back on Saturdays, and then the MAC will be midweek. But you got a couple games. You got Western Michigan at Eastern Michigan. I'm actually a little surprised at this line. Eastern Michigan favorite. They are at home. It's a 2.5-point line, but I kind of like Western Michigan in this one. Am I wrong on that tip?
I was about to say either like
I might have put it in wrong.
Western Michigan's favorite. I'm seeing their favorite by 3.
So
either it's shifted.
No, not that much. Maybe I must have put that in wrong. I was whatever. I was watching it, doing this a little late at night one night, but well, then I stand by my pick, Western Michigan. Good. I knew it. Good pick. You know what I try to do? I'm not a betting man, but if I were to give betting advice, here's what you do on these games. You look at the game and you just come up with what you think the line should be. And then you look at what the real line is, and if you're like, oh yeah, like let's say this game, in my mind, I'm like looking at it and I'm like, yeah, Western Michigan, they're probably 3.5-point favorites. And then I looked at the real line and it was Eastern Michigan. I'm, oh yeah, let me go Western Michigan. I'm that confident in this game. That's what I would say. I don't know, but I don't really bet, so you guys don't win. So I don't know. I don't know what the betting advice would be. Battle of the Bricks. This was our lock of the week, and I saw the lines moved even more. I think we had it at Ohio -6.5.
Yep.
At home, winner of this game now is gonna be in a good spot. Other than both of them still got to play Buffalo, so both very good on defense. Miami without Gabbert is pretty stagnant on offense.
Yeah, and if Evian Smith, he was the backup. He came in relief last week. Did not look great. Now he's had a full week of practice, so you would think that he's gonna be ready to go. And their coach has said that they have full confidence in him. He understands the whole entire playbook, so he better be ready to go because they still have a shot at this thing. Mm-hmm. But this is a huge game. I just think Ohio has too many weapons. If Curtis Rourke plays like the Curtis Rourke that we think he should have been before the season, I think Ohio gets it done. I think they cover the 6.5, which is now 7, which means people are betting on Ohio. But,
yeah, they got more weapons, like you said.
Yeah, and Sam Wiglusz is a fantastic receiver who had a monster game last week with 10 receptions, 155 yards, and a touchdown. So they got the weapons, they got the running backs in Bangura and Allison. So they just don't turn it over, Ohio, and you'll come out on top on this one.
Yeah, that's that's pretty much the theme every weekend.
Yeah.
Don't turn it over because most of these teams are pretty evenly, they're pretty evenly matched for the most part. Don't turn it over. No stupid penalties. No dumb special teams plays. Yep. You got a good chance. But
and Sprouse, yeah, I mean, what did we see last week, right? At the Miami game. Miami's defense kept them in that game. Mm-hmm. And then on that last drive, Miami was at around the 50-yard line driving.
Yep.
And you saw Avian Smith take off on a quarterback run, and he fumbles. Gets the ball knocked out from behind him. So, and that turnover ended the game. So ended that drive into the game. So got to hold on to the ball. Can't turn the ball over. And Avian Smith is gonna have to make some plays today if they want to have a shot at winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think defensive battle. I definitely would say take the under on whatever it is. I think it's like we were looking at it, isn't it? Like 40. Pretty low.
It's going down. I think it was at around 40. It's at 39 today.
I probably would still take the under on this game.
Yeah, I'd take it.
Because I don't know that Miami may not score, and Miami's defense is stout. So, but anyway, yeah, I think so we're all taking Ohio on that game pretty much. We in agreement on that? Battle of the Bricks. I heard Ohio's a pretty good time.
Especially on Halloween.
I'm interested to see. That's going to be something to watch for, tonight, especially the night games. Who's the guy standing there in the Bane costume? Who's standing there, who's got the best costume? And then there's games Tuesday night, by the way, Halloween night. You got some action happening. So I always have that. We always open the garage up. We got the games on, the TV in there. I got Halloween playlist playing on YouTube, and we're serving up. Sometimes we serve up the adults cold one if they want. I got 1,000 pieces of candy. So I got it right now.
I'll go quick.
It will, dude. I don't know. I'm stingy though. I get the good candy. Like I don't get like, I mean, I get like Snickers, Twix, Reese's. I don't get
Fruit snacks.
No, yeah, but hey, honestly, a fruit snack is good. What I don't like is like, I don't know, like you get like Smarties,
a bag of candy corn.
Yeah, boy,
I hate candy corn.
Candy corn. Was that you, Jeff? You and Scarlett put that on?
My wife, she loves candy corn, and I was like, it tastes like chalk.
It's
disgusting.
Awful. Candy corn is the.
I won, by the way, that poll.
Peeps for Easter, candy corn for Halloween. Just gross. Like,
bad.
No reason it should be called candy. Like, it should be put like you should buy candy corn like next to like pistachios. Like just in like the plain nuts. They're so bad. Like you're walking down the candy aisle, you got Snickers, you got Twix, you got Reese's, you got Crunch, you got, Baby Ruth, and then there's candy corn sitting there. It's just like
bad candy.
Man, hey, that's bad. It's
we'll have
real
to
bad.
do a poll before Halloween
Best
or on
Halloween
Halloween.
candy?
Yeah, best Halloween candy.
So number one, what's yours, Jeff?
I love chocolate. Milky Way is like one of my all-time favorites.
Milky Way. Tip, what about you?
I'll have to go Snickers, I think, but Reese's is a close second, and it's got to be the Reese's like pumpkins though. Like it's just a better peanut butter to chocolate ratio in those.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Snickers guy, big Snickers guy. I don't particularly care for Milky Way. It's too nougaty and not nutty enough.
Nougaty.
What's that nougaty?
Nougaty. You got too much nougat in the Milky Way. I like Twix. Twix is a pretty good one.
Yeah.
You know what I really like? I really love Almond Joy. Get a little bit of the coconut with the dark chocolate.
See,
I'm
not a huge almond. I'll tell you this: there's candies that are like like Almond Joy's one, but a lot of people like Kit Kat don't care for it.
Oh, Kit Kat's good.
They're good.
Butterfinger doesn't do it for me.
It's stuck in your teeth too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like Kit Kat too wafery, I might as well eat like a stale waffle.
Oh,
if I'm gonna with a little chocolate on it.
Just take a break.
We're getting way off topic here.
We are. We gotta get back.
What game should we talk about next? Mountain West Conference, Air Force at Colorado State. We talk about it all year. For all the talk about Colorado and Colorado State, Air Force is just. Not even quietly, has just been the best team in that state for a while. They're on the road. I mean, apparently Larry is good to go. I mean, after
they were talking like he was going to be out for the season.
I thought he was out for the year. And then I looked at the
definitely.
Navy box score, and I'm like, Larry's thrown the ball 5 times. Like that ain't. So I don't know. But if he's back, I mean, I think they'll win. 14's a lot of points. I do think Colorado State can potentially score, but that Air Force defense, man, they are stout. It's pretty interesting to see like any service academy team like be so good all around on defense, because it's hard to scout at a school like that, right? Because like your scout team was recruited to run the triple option too, but you got them running the air raid this week, right?
Love it.
You got a bunch of like 4-point stance, cut blocking linemen are in the 2-point stance this week on scout team for Air Force. But
they're probably fired up.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, I can tell you, I love it. Love it when you can be the air raid and you're not the Navy offensive lineman. I had freaking Ben Garland, played for the 49ers for a little bit, and he played for the Falcons for a little bit, but he was always the D tackle on me when I was scout team Air Force O-line. My God, just brutal, dude. It's like trying to cut block a guy that's been getting cut blocked for 5 years. Like, it's impossible. But yeah, you can't do it. But anyway, I think Air Force gets that one done, and Air Force keeps on rolling. I don't know. The Mountain West right now it's crazy because I've been down on Boise State, but Boise State is sitting there. They're 3-4 overall, but they only have 1 loss in the conference. It's to Wyoming. So they're right there now, and they play Air Force still. So this conference is still a little bit wide open. You got New Mexico at Nevada. It's a pick 'em. And then how about this? You got San Jose State kicking off at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time tonight.
Love it.
I mean, you'd be up till 4 o'clock in the morning if you watch that. If I watch that game, and I've already had my Alani Nu, which, by the way, I'm looking at the can here, Jeff and Tip. Louisville, Kentucky headquarters.
Really?
So if I had two guys that lived within a couple hours of Louisville that would drive up there on a cold call, try to get a sponsorship deal, Alani Nu, it's really good.
Should have stopped on my way back from
Sam's Club.
Oxford last week.
Sam's Club. This is the Jeff, you'll really enjoy this. This is the Cosmic Stardust flavor.
It's the best flavor.
It's good.
It's real good.
Have you had the Halloween one, the Witch's Brew one? Oh,
I haven't, no, but my wife.
It's like a caramel apple flavor. Oh, it's
not a huge caramel apple fan.
Really?
It's okay. Apple? It's good. It's all right.
Give me my black coffee.
Black coffee. It was 1980, dude.
I wish it was.
Time to Do you? Time to grow up a little bit and up that caffeine intake by another 150 grams, Jeff.
Oh man, if you'd have just been like up it and Alani knew, I would have clipped that and sent it to Alani. That would have been a great.
You want me to try it again?
Let's do it.
Jeff, black coffee. What is this? 1980. It's time to upgrade your life a little bit and get boom, Alani Nu. Anyway, yeah, dude. San Jose State at Hawaii, midnight kickoff. That's absolutely brutal. But I'll tell you what, Hawaii may cover that. 10.5 points. I mean,
I don't know. They're playing bad ball right now.
They are playing bad ball, but they're at home. I mean, even for San Jose State, that's like a 9 p.m. kickoff for them.
Yeah, but you got Cordero going back to his former school. I think he wants to put up crazy numbers. I think he has a really good game. I think they cover 10.5.
Yeah, and then moving on to the Sun Belt, Southern Miss at App State. App State, I think, is going to win this game. They better. I don't know that App State's capable of covering 17 points against anybody because they always just play somebody close. But I mean, we've been talking about it for like.
If
3
they
weeks
happen
now.
to be in another close game against Southern Miss, I think the wheels might fall off that program. But I think they beat them pretty well.
They'll win that game. And here's the thing too. They're with Georgia Southern beating Georgia State the other night. That has opened the door for Coastal, for App, for all the 2-loss teams now, because especially like again these matchups the way they go. App State playing Georgia Southern in that last week. If the standings are sitting exactly where they're standing right now, App State could win that game and go to the championship. Yep. So and we know App State fans are going to be there no matter what. So, but yeah, I think they'll get that done. Arkansas State at Monroe. Tip, is your boy Butch? Does he get the upset today?
I don't think so. That offense is it's kind of slowed down in recent weeks, and Monroe's been playing some good football recently. You know, they had a 1-point loss against Texas State at Texas State, and then a 10-point loss to Georgia Southern, and we saw what they just did against Georgia State. So I think Monroe's just flat out playing better football right now. So, and they're playing this game at home. It's a 1.5, 2-point spread. I mean, betting wise, I would lean towards Monroe to cover that.
Yeah, I like Monroe in that too. And then this is crazy, man. Old Dominion at James Madison. This is a 3-touchdown spread. I think that's a lot. Dude, James Madison, for all the talk about the fans and Twitter and stuff, like I want to talk strictly about them on the field right now. They are giving up 36 rushing yards per game right now, which unfortunately is not being acknowledged on the NCAA stats. The next lowest, UCLA and Air Force, who are basically double that, 69 yards per game.
Wow.
36 rushing yards per game. I mean, I bet if you looked at box scores, you would find most games that would have one run of 36 yards. Yeah. Like at least one during the game. That's wild how good their defense is. I think 20.5 is a lot of points. I think Old Dominion will, I don't know. I think they'll cover that barely. I think 17, 18 point game, but I think James Madison's going to get that done. I at this point, I I don't think James Madison is going to lose the game. I really don't. And if
They'll lose
if
one.
you Jeff, you're just trying to stir the pot right now.
Last
but I
game
will.
of the season,
There it
Coastal
is.
Carolina,
There it is.
the Chanticleers. Grayson McCarr will be back. They're going to win
Maybe.
that last game.
Maybe. But what I'll say is this. Look, I know that the James Madison fans want to play for a championship this year, but they can't do it. If they are this good next year, talk about a 3-year run to get to a championship game. Can you just imagine how electric that season will be when you finally – now, what you cannot do is finally be eligible and then not be this good. But I think they will – I mean, I think they'll be good again. I don't know about this undefeated, this crazy run they're on right now, but just stick it out, guys. Look, okay, we give you guys a hard time, James Madison people. We give you a hard time because you got a couple – you got a couple people with Twitter fingers that are just backwards in my mind, but you got such a good team. Just support the team, be there for them, be there for them next year when they are eligible, and I think you'll be right back in the spot, and all will be forgotten about this year and last year if you find yourselves in the championship game next year. Yeah, Jeff, you got anything to add to that? I know you've been battling on Twitter with a lot of people, but
No, not really. But no, you said it right. I mean, you got some people that are, like that sidelines account, James
Bad.
Madison, that had that awful take about boycotting the Sun Belt Championship because the real champion's not in it. Like, I get it. It sucks, and it is what it is. But that's not the way to go. Like,
No.
yeah, you're turning yourself into the villain of the Sun Belt, which, like you said, Sprouse, that's not a bad spot to be.
it's not.
Being the villain of a conference. But, no, they got a great team, and they've had a great team, more than just the last 2 years before they moved up. So
Right.
hopefully they can continue that run. And we'll get out there, like I said last night. Like if they make it to the championship game next year, I'll be
That's right.
there with a backpack full of streamers.
Yeah. And then it's a big one in the West now. Louisiana needs this game to stay in this. Well, both of them really need it to stay right at the top. But here's a crazy number for you. So you first glance at you thinking Louisiana at South Alabama. I'm kind of like I want to lean physical, defensive game, not a lot of points. Each of these teams only have one game all season long that they scored less than 30 points. And for Louisiana, that was last week. And then for South Alabama, that was week 1 against Tulane. So they're both averaging more than 30 points a game right now. I think South Alabama, we gave them a little bit of crap for being a little inconsistent, kind of early in the year with a couple bad losses, we thought. But, I mean, look, they only lost to James Madison by a touchdown, and they lost to that Central Michigan team by a couple points, and then they lost to Tulane. But other than that, they've looked pretty good. And I think they're quietly – preseason they were quietly under the radar. We were on them, but nobody else was really on them. And they're quiet. They're right back there. I mean, they're right back in the thick of things, and I think they win today. I don't know about a 10-point cover. I think they beat Louisiana. I think Louisiana is kind of outperforming themselves a little bit right now. I think next year they might be pretty good, but I don't think they're there yet. I'm just looking forward to that South Alabama Troy game. It might be next week, but
Well,
I like South Alabama.
You have a great clash coming up in that South Alabama Troy game, in which, in my opinion, both teams, I think, are playing some of the best football that they've played all year at the right time. And a lot of times that's what matters most. It's not who's the better team, it's who's playing the best football, towards the end of the season when you get into the thick of conference play. And South Alabama's doing that. They're slowly showing up to be the team that we thought they were going to be, flying under the radar before the season. The second-ranked defense in the Sun Belt, which I don't think a lot of people realize. So I think South gets it done. 10 points, I don't know. With Zion Chris is an X factor. He can break off long runs in a second and score touchdowns. So you always got that factor, but I like South.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, let's talk our games of the week now. Bunch of good games. This is a pretty good underrated Saturday, I think. Yeah, and I'm actually where's ESPN at today?
Utah.
Pac-12 again. Oh, yeah, I did see. Did you see who their guest picker is? Jeez.
Steve Smith.
No.
Yeah, he's their guest picker.
No.
Is he not? Who is it?
Little Nas X. You know,
Really? Because Steve Smith
maybe
was
I fell
on McAfee yesterday on his Friday show.
Maybe I fell for
Could be
like
wrong.
a fake meme or something. I'm pretty sure Gameday put it on Instagram.
Maybe. Could be.
Anyway, so I don't know why I decided to bring that up, but I kind of would have thought like this was the week that they were gonna do their yearly, group of 5 game or whatever. They might do it. I don't know when they normally do it, but let me go through some of these games here. So I'm gonna start at the bottom. If you guys are looking at my list here, Jeff, Tulane at Rice. Look out! Look out here.
I
put that bad. It's Tulane is 10.5-point favorites. Surely you guys figured that.
Yeah. No, I don't know if Rice gets this done. That's a tall task. I think Tulane really is the top team in the group of 5. I just think that especially after last week's showing where North Texas put a ton of yards on that defense in the air, didn't get a lot of pressure on that quarterback on Chandler Rogers last week, and JT Daniels is the 12th ranked passer in the country. And then you got Luke McCaffrey on the outside. And like I said earlier, Rice is the top offense in the American as far as yards with 319 yards per game. So this could be a tight matchup, tighter than people think. And it's, Tulane's on the road. So we'll see what happens. I think Tulane comes out on top. I just think they have too much experience. I think they have too much firepower on offense. But look for this to possibly be a shootout.
Yeah, and in this game for Rice, you're not going to win this conference with 2 losses. So I think this is for Rice to stay in this thing. Of course, if Rice wins this game, that really shakes up everything. I mean, that really freaking messes everything up. But yeah, I think Tulane gets it done. I think it's going to eliminate Rice. I think they'll cover. I think Tulane will cover. They're going to come out swinging after a little bit of a scare last week. Tip, what do you think?
I don't know. I think you could see maybe like a little backdoor cover because I do think Tulane will control this game, and I think they'll be up early and will just continue that lead throughout the game. But like Murph said, I think JT Daniels in this Rice offense can have success throwing the ball against Tulane's secondary. And with that, you could see Rice try and make a little bit of a comeback in the fourth quarter, which could lead to a sneak little backdoor cover. So if you can get it at 10.5, I like Rice at plus 10.5 at home, but I think Tulane wins.
Yeah. Here's the first test for the Rebels of UNLV today, guys. They're at Fresno State. So both of these teams are top 10 turnover margin teams. So UNLV, you want to know how they're maybe not quite as talented as some of the other teams. You want to know how they're sitting there where they're sitting. Turnover margin, top 10 in the country. Now, here's the interesting thing about UNLV, guys. So their only loss is to Michigan, who, is probably stealing signs. Probably
That's exactly it.
That's exactly what happened. Was Michigan stole their signs and beat them by 30 points. That's the same thing they're doing to everybody else in the country. But no, that by the way, I don't know. I mean, I don't know the details on it, but I think, believe it or not, Dion had the best, Coach Prime had the best take on it. So you could have the whole game plan, and you still got to stop it.
Exactly.
I mean, but anyway, so their only loss is to Michigan. However, their wins are FCS Bryant, Vanderbilt, UTEP, Hawaii, Nevada, and Colorado State. So, we're about to find out is basically what I'm saying about UNLV. Even if they lose and they play Fresno tight, I think it proves they belong in this conversation. But I think Fresno State is going to win this game. 8.5, I'm not real sure about. I'll take the Bulldogs at home. Murph, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is not only the first big test for UNLV this season, but for their young quarterback, Jaden Maiava. He's played very, very well all season since he got the opportunity when Brumfield went out. He has not turned the ball over very much at all. So that's going to be key today because Fresno State's defense loves to get turnovers, and they're one of the best defenses in the Mountain West. Now, on the other side, Mikey Keene is still listed as questionable. But Logan Fife has played well enough for that offense to move and for them to win ball games. But he's going to have to continue to play, interception-free football, not turn it over, run that offense, and just play point guard. You have weapons all around you. Don't turn it over. Extend drives with your legs if you need to, and score points. I think Fresno State gets it done. Even if Mikey Keene comes back, I think if he happens to play today, I still think he'll be a little bit rusty. So I like Fresno State to win, mainly because of that defense and their running game. But I don't think it. I don't know about the 8.5.
It's a good pick. Tip.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, like this is UNLV's like first true test because they are 6-1. You have to give them credit because they've been a down program the last few seasons, but some of their wins are just against some bottom tier teams. And I'll be the first to admit that I was wrong about Logan Fife. He's played very well this year, and I think what's helped him a lot is that running back Malik Sherrod has showed up and is running the ball extremely well right now. And because of that and Fresno State's defense, like Murph mentioned, I think Fresno State gets it done. I'm actually seeing the line going up to like 9.5, hovering around 10 right now. Some late money coming in on Fresno State to win this game at home and to cover by double digits, essentially. I don't know about that. I think UNLV wants to come in here and prove that they belong. I could totally see them covering, but on the flip side, I could see Fresno State just coming in and just dominating. So betting standpoint, I personally would probably stay away from this game, but I think Fresno State wins.
I know I already made the pick, but I'm right there with you, Tip. Like, I could see this being like, a real emotional, hard-fought first quarter, and then Fresno State just flexing a little bit. By the way,
I also think that it's going to be sold. It's going to be sold out. So that crowd's going to be jumping, and UNLV I don't think has played in an environment like that this year, other than the Michigan game. But
right.
Saw how that worked out.
By the way, Malik Sherrod, any relations to Nick Sherrod? Not the same family. Oh man, wouldn't that be something?
Well, that's what like so Sherrod, like his last name is actually pronounced like Sherrod. So I've been like, when I see Malik, I thought it was Sherrod, but I think they're pronouncing it like Sherrod. So I don't know. So.
Dude, it was like I'm pretty sure it was like last year when I finally found out that it's not really Sherrod. Like somebody said something, like he said something, I think, to me, and I was like, then I asked my wife, I was like, you've known him longer than I have. Is it really Sherrod or is it
Sherrod?
She's like, I don't know. And then, but anyway, shout out Nick Sherrod. Good to hear from. Good to Sherrod. Another one in the Mountain West, Wyoming at Boise State. This is what I was talking about earlier. Boise State, man, this is the crap that they do. They get all their fans worked up. They want to fire the coach, and then they just creep in and they win the Mountain West with 8 wins. I don't think that's happening this year. I think I still just don't like it. I mean, they've had some success with it, but the coach is just like freaking doubling down on this 2 quarterback thing. I don't like it at all. I think Wyoming is probably the best defense that they've played. And I think Wyoming, I mean, they're still right in the thick of this thing too to win the conference. I like Wyoming to win this game as a dog. We took them as the, our underdog pick of the week. Give me the Cowboys. Murph?
Yeah, I think this is a Vegas trap trying to make a bunch of money with Boise State being the program that they've been over the last decade or so. Like, we're gonna put Boise State at like -5 here. Everybody's gonna bet Boise State, and we're gonna clean up on Wyoming. I think Wyoming wins this game. I
do too.
Boise State has not had good quarterback play all season. They're playing 2 guys. Wyoming's defense is one of the best in the conference, and Andrew Peasley has been playing great the last 3 or 4 weeks. Throwing the ball, running the ball, protecting it. And then Harrison Whaley is listed as probable. I don't know if he comes back and plays or not. They have other running backs, but if he does come back too, all they got to do is slow down Ashton Genty. That's the main thing, unless Taylon Green or
You say
Madsen
all they
just
got to
comes
do like it's an easy task now.
I know, but you have one of the best linebackers in the Mountain West and Easton
You
Gibbs
do.
on the other side. So that's the matchup to me to watch is Easton Gibbs versus Ashton Genty in the middle.
Do you think?
Give me Wyoming.
Do y'all think that Vegas makes more like this is the kind of game because Jeff, you mentioned like the quote casual fan earlier, right? And this is Group of Five, Power Five, but probably even more so at the Group of Five level because I think your casual fan that doesn't watch Group of Five football at all looks at this and says, "Oh, Boise State, they're good,"
100%.
and says,
At that
"Oh,
5
Wyoming,
number
they're not,
where it's just
they're
like
not
right
good."
below a touchdown.
Yeah,
I'm
So
telling you,
they're-
I think it's a Vegas money game.
yeah. I like.
my opinion.
Yeah, Tip, what do you think on this
No,
one?
I 100% agree with that. I think that blue turf and that Boise State logo for the quote unquote casual fan is just looking at that Boise State logo and the 5-point spread at home and saying that this is a lock that Boise State's going to win. And I'm going to agree, obviously, with what Murph and Sprouse said because it is our underdog pick of the week. I think Wyoming just is not getting enough credit in this game, and I think they go in and win this game on the road, mainly because just Boise State's defense just hasn't been the same as it been in recent years. So I think Wyoming is going to have success on offense, and I mean the two quarterback thing is going to hurt them. And yes, they have Ashton Genty, who's having an unbelievable year this year, but you can't just solely rely on him. And we saw that in that Memphis game. Genty had an unbelievable game, and it's still the defense. Boise State's defense struggled in that game. I think they struggle in this game as well. And Wyoming's defense, they're going to create turnover, especially when you have that 2-quarterback deal that's going on. These quarterbacks can't get in a rhythm. You're going to see some costly turnovers at the wrong time for Boise State in this game. Wyoming's going to go in there and win this game.
I like it. I can't wait to watch that one. Boise's going to be rocking now.
Sure
So
will.
look out for that.
And to Murph's point, the line's moving down already. So you're seeing this late money coming in on Wyoming. It's down to 4.5 right now.
Well, people listening live, they're putting in,
Yep.
putting in their bets. Sunbelt West, Troy at Texas State. Texas State, the 11th ranked scoring offense in the country. Troy, the 17th ranked scoring defense in the country. Offense versus defense right here. I think Troy gets this done, Jeff. I'm sorry to say against your fighting San Marcos. And I think it just sets up that showdown for Thursday night, Troy and South Alabama. What do you think?
I think this kicks off the battle for the West. I think these next
Oh, yeah.
couple of weeks is going to show which team is going to come out on top. And Troy, like I said earlier, has been playing some of their best football all year over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, that defense is number one in the Sun Belt, only allowing 281 yards per game. They're going to need to tackle in space. They tackle very well. They're going to need to show it today because you got the number one ranked offense in the Sun Belt at 491 yards per game. So who wins this?
Something's got to give.
Number one defense, number one offense. The fighting G.J. Kinneys and T.J. Finley, I think, spread them out. And I think the actual key to this game is, they're going to throw the ball, right? They want to get it. Not only going to stretch you vertically, they're going to stretch you horizontally, 53 and a third yards, sideline to sideline. They're going to throw the fast screens out there. They'll pump the fast screens. They'll take their shots down the sideline. But Ismail Mahdi, he has got to be productive on the ground. He's averaging 7.4 yards per carry this season. I don't think he gets 7.4 today, but if he can get around that 4.5 to 5 yards per carry mark, and what they're going to try and do is spread them out and get 5 and 6 man boxes and bet that Mahdi's going to make one guy miss. So if they can do that and he can be productive, I think that's their key to victory because their defense has not played great this season. They've given up a lot of points, and Troy's offense has the number one running back in the country in Kamani Vidal.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be able to score. I think I'm going to go with Texas State just because they were my dark horse pick, and I love these guys, and I want to see a championship game in San Marcos. So give me Texas State, but I think it is a tight back and forth ball game. great game to watch. This game's going to be awesome.
You know, there could be, if this goes chalk, as they say, and South wins today and Troy wins today, and then Thursday, winner of that game pretty much wins the West. You could get some wild scenario where if Louisiana wins today and Texas State wins today, then you're going to have winner of South and Troy next week, all with 2 losses.
Yeah.
And so
look for that stadium to be rocking today too. I hope they show up. They showed up.
Yeah, I think they will.
I think
they will. They're excited over there. They got a good one. Last one. This is talk about two.
Throw it to Tyler.
Did Tip not make a pick?
Tipton,
pick. Make a pick. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay, Sprouse. I get it. I'm just kidding. But
I know where you're going. I already know what you're gonna say here, Tip. You're gonna say. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, what do you think?
You're gonna pick Troy, but you're gonna give like a little synopsis on how Texas State could win, but then you're gonna be like, but Troy.
You're mostly right. So
I got it.
With these two teams, I think they're kind of they're not going in like polar opposite directions, but you're kind of starting to see Troy swing in the upward, where they're playing really good football right now. They've won 4 in a row since that James Madison loss. And Texas State, we saw how high-powered this offense was at the beginning of the year. But what I think is happening is, we're 7 games into the season for Texas State. That's 7 games worth of film that's out there for this Texas State offense. And you've kind of seen this offense of Texas State slow down just a little bit. They scored 21 points against Monroe. You would expect them to score more, and they only win that game by 1 point. And then, yes, they scored 30 against Louisiana, but that defense gave up 34 points, and they lose that game. So Gunnar Watson in this Troy offense, Gunnar Watson is playing his best football right now of his career. And so and just the way Texas State's defense has kind of been struggling. I like Troy to run the ball effectively with Vidal, to win the possession clock game, this game. I think Troy goes in there and wins this game. Now they're favored by 6.5. I'm staying away from this from a betting standpoint. Maybe if you want to include this in a parlay and kind of bump that number up to a 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, somewhere up there, then maybe. But I think this will be a close game. I think Texas State is going to be able to score, but usually when you have this good offense versus really good defense battle, I usually like to lean a little bit more towards the defense in those cases. So I think Troy's defense can slow down this Texas State offense a little bit, and I do think it's going to be a close game, but I think Troy wins this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Sorry. Last one, you got Marshall at Coastal. Must win for both teams. I mean, this is that middle of the schedule we talked about for Marshall when they had 7 straight games. Well, they're 0-3 to start it. So not looking good for Marshall for my pick to win this conference. But Jeff, I'm going to throw to you first. You're still high on Coastal. What do you think?
I think it's going to be tough. I think Grayson McCall's going to be out today. So Jared Guest, I think he should be the starter. He's got to be ready to go because they're still in the hunt for this thing in the East. They got to win today. Not sure if Rasheen Ali is going to play. I think he's still listed as questionable. We'll see. That's going to be a huge factor in this game. I'm going to go Coastal, and the others got to step up today. C.J. Mosley, Pickney's got to have a good game. They got to help out that backup quarterback and be able to score on offense.
Tip, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so I saw an interview with Marshall head coach, Coach Huff from earlier in the week, and it looks just the way he was talking in that interview. It looks like Ali's going to be game time decision, but he also was talking about how he doesn't want to injure parents' sons. So like he's kind of just the way he was talking makes it lean towards Ali not playing. Maybe he's not. He's close to playing, and he probably could play, but he might not be 100%. So I think he probably sits out today. But this is Jarrett Guest. I mean, this is his time to shine. He's a senior. He has the talent around him. Just get the ball in your playmakers' hands and let Pickney and let those guys, go win this game for you. Just put the ball where it needs to be, make some plays. So that, and they're at home. I just think missing Ali it's a huge factor for Marshall, and they're going into a tough environment at Coastal Carolina. So I think Jarrett Guest does enough to get it done, and I think Coastal wins this game.
Yeah, give me Coastal on this one as well. I think Marshall is just not playing very good football right now. I think they're struggling. I think Coastal got a little, like I said, they got a little crack in the door to win the East. So I think they're going to be fired up. I think they're going to come out rolling. Give me the Chants on this one. That's all we got for you guys today. Big time Saturday of Group of 5 college football today. We'll catch you. I think we got to figure that out, but I think we're going to be live Monday night because Halloween is Tuesday. Halloween's the biggest holiday in the Sprouse family when we got a couple trick-or-treaters running around. But so I think we'll catch you Monday night. We'll post that on Twitter, get that figured out. We need you guys' help. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of 5 Guys. Go to groupof5guys.com. Get you some swag. That would help us out tremendously. Subscribe, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with your family and friends. Give us a 5-star rating and review. Most importantly, though, subscribe to the channel. Get the clicks in there. And, we live stream every Saturday morning, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And then every Monday or Tuesday night, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's all we got for you guys today. Enjoy the games.